Change can really affect mental health. For many of us, we like to anticipate what we think is going to be happening and then almost mentally rehearse what the outcome of that might be. And for many of us, that can be quite reassuring. Throughout the pandemic, we haven't been able to do that. There's been a certain level of uncertainty for many of us in all of the areas of our life. COVID-19 has had a huge impact on people's mental health and well-being. We've seen higher levels of things such as anxiety and depression in individuals. Not only have we had these extra stresses, these extra pressures on things such as our finances, our social relationships, our family relationships. For many of us, we've also had our coping strategies taken away. So not only have we had extra pressures, we've also had our ability to manage those pressures taken away as well. The pandemic has affected me hugely. I went from working face-to-face with people and training people and doing therapy with groups to being isolated very much at home and working with people online. There was no clear cut-off of when work finished and being a parent started, so I found myself working longer hours. I wasn't very good at differentiating between work and home and kind of felt those work pressures more, which was a real challenge when, for me, there wasn't really anything hugely interesting to do with that spare time anyway. So I was thinking, I might as well work because I haven't really got anything else to do anyway. So I had to really pull back from that and make sure that I was more protective of my personal space. When we're struggling with our mental health, one of the most important things is to recognise those early signs. We know that the sooner we get support, the sooner we get help, the more likely we are to be able to recover quickly and effectively. So it's about recognising some of those early signs and being honest with ourselves and being kind to ourselves. That's really important. It's also important to recognise that as human beings, we are designed to be part of a pack. We are biologically hardwired to have social interactions with other people. And because for many people, they haven't had that for such a long time, either the idea of getting back into that will provoke anxiety, or for some people, they've become comfortable or they think they've become comfortable with that social isolation. And it's important that we recognise how important it is and we do allow ourselves to get back to that. So it's some simple things such as recognising that you're not alone. Whatever feelings you have, good and bad, about those social interactions, other people are also sharing those kind of feelings. Taking one step at a time. So rather than arranging a big night out with lots of people maybe, just taking a small step and maybe meeting somebody for a walk or meeting one friend in an outdoor cafe, just taking things slowly. When we feel overwhelmed and our mental well-being isn't great, we're not kind to ourselves and we don't kind of give ourselves permission to do the things that are enjoyable. So it's recognising that we are making space to do the things that we might enjoy doing. That might mean making a plan, so making a solid plan and making a solid agreement with ourselves. So rather than just focusing on what we have to do and what we need to do, to make sure that we're making some time for the things that are enjoyable. So that might be watching some television, it might be doing something creative, it might be calling a friend. So what can really help when you're dealing with an uncertainty is to try and take stock of the things that you can control and focus on those rather than the things that you can't control. So even if it's really small things, such as what you have for breakfast, who you have a telephone conversation with that day, what shop you walk to. And once we are able to accept that there are certain things that we can't control and we can just let those go and we can release those and not worry about those, and then that can really alleviate some of the anxieties. We know that physical activity is also really good for our well-being, so to make sure that we are dispelling some of that energy, whether that's walking the dog around the park or whether it's going for a walk with our friend, whether it's dancing around the kitchen to your favourite music, whatever it is that gets your heartbeat going can be really helpful. Even if you really don't feel like doing it, once you do start to do it, then you will start to feel a little bit better. Often people will think, when I feel better, then I will do something different, but actually it doesn't work that way around. We need to push through and do something different in order to feel better. Eating well, making sure that we're getting all the nutrients that we need. If we are taking the time and the energy to make ourselves a good meal, that can be really helpful. Keeping ourselves hydrated is also important, and limiting our use of alcohol or substances, that will also help our well-being as well. if somebody experiences anxiety, something called their stress response has been triggered, and that's a psychological and physical response. What can be really helpful is to do some breathing exercises, and there's a really simple breathing exercise called 7-11 that will activate what we call our relaxation response. And it purely is a breathing activity that we would do our out breath for about a third longer than our in breath. So the way that we would do it, we would make sure that we are sitting comfortably. We need to breathe out of our abdomen, because if we're anxious, we breathe from our chest. So we want to avoid breathing from our chest, we want to breathe from our abdomen. And it can help you do that if you actually put your hands on your abdomen. So I say to people, put your hands on your abdomen, and then we would just breathe in for a count of 7. And breathe out for a count of 11. And if you do that for a certain number of breaths, for many people, that would help them to feel more relaxed. Rather than wait to feel anxious, if you was to do that several times a day, then you are less likely to feel anxious throughout that day. So we always encourage people to carry out those breathing activities on a regular basis. If you are somebody who doesn't work well with breathing techniques, and for some people it doesn't work. For some people, actually, if you say to concentrate on your breathing, it makes you feel more anxious, then I would suggest different kinds of relaxation techniques. So there's something called grounding, and grounding is to bring you back to the immediate moment. So if somebody's experiencing anxiety, their thoughts might be racing all over the place, you might be feeling overwhelmed, lots of different things popping into your mind. And grounding is about bringing you back to the here and now and bringing you back to the moment. And there's something called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And the way that that works is I would say to somebody 5 things that you can see. So look around you right now and tell yourself 5 different things that you can see. We would then say 4 different things that you can touch. You could say to yourself, I can touch my trousers, I can touch my top. There might be 4 different things around that you can touch. Then 3 different things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste. And that might just be the inside of your mouth. So that would be a grounding technique, which is another technique that you can use for relaxation. If you've noticed that any of the changes that you've experienced have had a negative impact on your well-being and you're struggling with your mental health, then you could contact Birmingham Minds Helpline. It operates 7 days a week and it's 24 hours a day.